A man walks into his own store like any other day. He greets customers. He shows off the watches in the cases. Everything feels normal. Then, in an instant, everything changes. A gun is pressed against his chin. Strangers tie him up. They strip him naked. And then they clean out his life's work in less than 10 minutes. That is exactly what happened to Magnus Kejser. He owns a high-end watch store in Aarhus, Denmark. His story is one of terror, loss, and eventually, justice. But the road to that justice was full of twists, turns, and one very costly mistake. Let's go back to May 23, 2025. Aarhus is Denmark's second largest city. It is beautiful and peaceful. It is the kind of place where people feel safe. Magnus Kejser runs a store called Kejser, named after himself. Inside those walls are some of the most expensive watches in the world. Rolex, Omega, timepieces worth tens of thousands of dollars each. For watch lovers, it is a dream come true. For criminals, it is a target. On this particular day, two men walk into the store. They look like ordinary customers. Maybe they are tourists just browsing. Nothing about them seems suspicious. But they are not there to shop. Not even close. One of them, a 31-year-old man named Marco Atlagic, pulls out a pistol. In an instant, he presses that gun up under the chin of Magnus Kejser. Can you imagine the fear? The terror of feeling cold metal against your skin, knowing that one wrong move could end your life. Atlagic and his partner, 27-year-old Danilo Karak, waste no time. They force Magnus and his employee into a back room. They use plastic strips to tie their hands and feet. But they do not stop there. They strip them completely naked. Why would robbers do that? Think about it for a second. If you are naked, you cannot run after them. You cannot follow them. You are helpless and humiliated. It buys them precious minutes to get away. And that is exactly what they do. While the victims sit bound and naked in that back room, Karak goes to work. He sweeps through the display cases, grabbing watch after watch. Rolex, Omega, high-end luxury timepieces. He stuffs them into a bag like they are nothing. The entire robbery takes just 7.5 minutes. In and out. Professional. Cold-blooded. By the time anyone realizes what happened, the robbers are gone. They flee in a car with Swiss license plates, driving away from the store, away from the city, away toward freedom. Or so they think. Here is where the story gets interesting. These men were not amateurs. They planned this. They had multiple cars waiting. They had escape routes mapped out. They even had a buyer ready to take the watches off their hands. This was a professional operation down to the smallest detail. After ditching the first car, they switched to a stolen black Passat. They head south toward the German border. If they can just cross into Germany, they disappear. Different country, different laws, different police. They would be home free. But then they make a mistake. One mistake. And it changes everything. Instead of driving straight to the border, they stop. They pull into a town called Sonderborg, right near the German line. And they check into an Airbnb. Why? Maybe they were tired. Maybe they thought they were safe. Maybe they wanted to split up the watches before crossing. Nobody knows for sure. But that decision cost them their freedom. The special prosecutor on this case, Dorf Lisgard, put it perfectly in court. She said, if they had just kept their foot on the accelerator and continued across the border, they would probably have been over all mountains, and we would hardly have been able to find them. Danish police had been tracking these men before the robbery even happened. They just did not know it yet. Denmark has a system called automatic license plate readers. Cameras at key locations scan every car that passes. When the robbers first entered Denmark from Germany on May 1st, in a white Renault Clio, the system logged their entry. Over the following weeks, police tracked that Clio making multiple trips between Aarhus and Copenhagen. And every time, it was followed by a black Passat. The same black Passat used in the getaway. The pieces were already coming together. After the robbery, police pulled surveillance footage from around the Kejser store. There were the two men, days before the heist, casing the place. Walking by. Looking in. Planning their move. The evidence was stacking up. When the car trail led to the Airbnb in Sonderborg, police did not rush in. They were smarter than that. They launched a drone. For days, they watched from above. They tracked every move. They saw the suspects coming and going. They waited for the perfect moment. On May 28th, 5 days after the robbery, that moment came. A 37-year-old Dutch man arrived at the Airbnb location. He was driving a car transporter, a big truck designed to carry vehicles. On the bed of that truck sat an Audi. Police watched as the stolen watches changed hands. The handoff. The moment when the robbers passed the goods to the fence, the man who would take them out of the country. Then they moved in. They arrested the Dutch man first. Inside his truck, they found the Audi. And inside the Audi, they found something clever. The stolen watches were hidden inside two hollowed-out foam cushions. Professional hiding spots. But not good enough. Later that same evening, police arrested the two Montenegrin men in another town near the border. In their car, they found another pillow. Inside that pillow was the pistol used in the robbery. Case closed. Of the 62 stolen watches, 60 were recovered. 2 are still missing. Maybe they were sold. Maybe they were lost. Maybe someone out there is wearing a stolen Rolex right now, not even knowing it. Fast forward to February 2026. The trial begins at the court in Aarhus. The prosecution calls the robbers extremely cold-blooded and describes the robbery as well planned down to the smallest detail by professional robbers. The two Montenegrin men try a different approach. They claim they were just tourists. They say the robbery was a spontaneous act that happened while they were wandering the streets. Spontaneous? They had multiple cars. They had plastic restraints. They had a gun. They had a fence waiting. That is not spontaneous. The Dutch man tries his own story. He says he was paid just €1,000 to pick up some watches. He claims he did not know they were stolen. €1,000 for a multi-million-dollar watch heist. Does that sound believable? The court does not buy any of it. On February 19, 2026, the verdict comes down. Danilo Karak and Marko Atlagic are sentenced to 5.5 years in prison each. Armed robbery. Weapons possession. The court rejects the spontaneous tourist defense completely. After they serve their time, they will be deported from Denmark. They will never come back. The Dutch man gets 1.5 years for receiving stolen goods. He will be deported too. For Magnus Kejser, the store owner, life has not been the same. In an interview months after the robbery, he opened up about the aftermath. "Physically I am okay," he said. "It was violent, but we weren't beaten. I see a psychologist and try to find a balance between working and letting the system come down a gear. It's surreal." The store closed for a long time after the robbery. Most of the watches were gone. But Kejser did not give up. Working with his insurance company, he made a decision. He would invest in serious security. He ordered a specialized security sluice, a high-tech entry system that cost nearly 400,000 kroner. That is about $55,000. Because the sluice took months to arrive, he hired a physical security guard to stand watch outside his store every single day. So where does that leave us? 3 men sitting in Danish prisons. 60 watches returned to their owner. 2 watches still missing somewhere in the world. A store owner rebuilding his life and his business. And a lesson that even the best laid plans can fall apart with one mistake. This case is a reminder that police work is patient. It is methodical. It uses drones and license plate readers and surveillance footage. It watches from above and waits for the right moment. And when that moment comes, it pounces. Somewhere out there, 2 luxury watches are waiting to be found. Maybe they will surface someday. Maybe they are sitting in a drawer or on someone's wrist. Maybe the person wearing them has no idea where they came from. That is the mystery that remains. 2 missing pieces in a case that otherwise closed perfectly. If you made it this far, hit that like button. It helps more people see stories like this one. And if you have not already, go ahead and subscribe. That way you will not miss out when the next chapter drops. Also, feel free to share this video. Let people know what happened in Denmark. This story deserves to be heard. Thanks for watching. Stay safe out there.